My mom told me not to talk to strangers on the internet, but I'm glad I didn't listen. We are the Certified Noonas, your sisters in the love of Asian entertainment.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
I'm Jessie.
I'm Natalia.
And I'm Sky.
And it's the last episode of the month, so we all know what that means. Da-da-da-da. It's the What We're Watching episode.
It means, how did January go by so fast?
I know, January already being over is wild. But
it's January 3rd, according to me, so just
yeah,
whatever.
I know. Like, January started like 2 days ago, right? Anyway.
We all said Happy New Year just like yesterday.
Yeah. And then, yada yada, now we're here. So for anyone who's just joining us, who just happened to find us for the first time, welcome. Welcome to the Noonas, welcome to your new life. But what we're watching is the episode where each of us goes and tells you what dramas we've been watching, and so maybe hopefully you can, if you're looking for a new recommendation of something to watch, we might have what you're looking for, because between the four of us, we consume so many things.
We definitely do.
So this week, starting us off, Sky, what was something you watched?
Monday.
So I'm actually evidently on a little bit of a costume kick on some of the dramas I'm watching. So I started Love Story for Illusion. Currently airing K-drama. And I guess I should pull up things about it. That would be helpful. But it is over on Viki as far as if you're looking for it. As far as like why I wanted to grab it, it looked a little bit dark. The word assassin was somewhere. Double personality. So like I was like, okay, that's enough. Plus, Park Ji-hoon is starring in it, and
he's so good.
I don't even know if I've seen him in a full, like, I haven't watched a full-length drama with him in it, I don't think, but I've seen clips of him and other things, and so, like, I was very aware of his acting prowess, so I was like, yes, in a long wig, I want to see what this does. But I always like double roles anyway, like, I always love to see how people do double roles, so, amazing. I've caught up to, it's 7 episodes are currently out. I've watched all 7. So good. So I really can't tell you that much because, like, spoilers, but he does, like, the female lead, you see, like, she is an assassin, that's a thing, and then you immediately see the backstory of the male lead character, and you see, which I enjoyed straight out of the gate, you see what caused this to happen for him, as opposed to a lot of shows they'll be like, episode 12 is finally when it explains, like, what caused this man to be 2 people.
He's such a sweet boy. He's such a sweet boy.
And the kid actor, so good.
So good.
The little child character, like, he just wants to draw clothing and design clothing. That is all he wants to do. But he is the son of a really mean dude who wants to become king. And pretty much his dad drags him to a massacre that he caused. And so the kid has a lot of trauma that happens, and there we be for why he has to become kind of a darker version of himself, but it's not that it's not like, oh, bad side, good side. It's not Jekyll Hyde. It's and even the, like, quote unquote nice side, he's pretty grumpy. Like, it's not that simple. So it's kind of even hard to describe the 2 personalities, but one personality even has a separate name. And pretty much when he goes to sleep, his other personality takes over, is the way a lot of it happens. And so a lot of times he tries to not sleep for days if he has to try to, like, get something done. Anyway, growing up in an environment where you have a really crappy dad who becomes king through bad stuff, like, he hates it.
Scabbity stabs.
And then, of course, the girl, you can guess the story there, but she becomes an assassin. Wonder why? Obvious reasons.
And it's not obfuscating these reasons. Like, they're like, here's the little girl. Like, in the first scene, it's like, here's a little girl with a very happy, loving family. And so Sky was watching. He's like, I know you wanted to watch this. Like, you should start it. So I started it, and it was like, as soon as we saw, like, oh, look at these loving, like, oh, the general father and like general.
Oh
mom,
no.
and, like, and really sweet to their daughter, and I was like, Sky, are these people about to get murdered? And Sky was like,
Of course.
you're going to get murdered real quick. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Super murdered, some may say.
Yeah, I said very, very sad, much murder. Like, murder. But like, it's great. I can't give away a lot of it, but there's also a shaman character who, when I say changes genders, they actually change like actor and actress on this character, like, and as the story there's moments that like, it's
like the same actor, but suddenly they'll have a beard, and then they'll be back to a woman. I'm gonna triple check
because shaman.
Yeah, it's played by Hwang Suk-jung.
Okay, so she's killing it then, because like looks like a completely different person, and even the voice, like she does such a good job on the voice. But anyway, nothing's cut and dry. Everything's a mess, but it clicked along so fast. Like that's what I want to say about.
Oh.
A lot of times, these fantasy say-cook type shows can really drag things on. It doesn't. It's like every happening is just so. To me, we're episode 7. I'm like, I don't know what else is going to happen because we've already pretty much checked off the boxes that I would have expected us to eventually get to. So, like, to me, there's not much else to do. So
I'm sure
it's going to be interesting to see.
Gonna be pulling something out.
Well, yeah, like
something wild.
But as far as like, quite often it's like, oh, the entire show would be, you know, machinations about Ascension to Throne or something, right? And that's the entire show. But whenever you already barrel through that pretty quick, it's like, whoa, there's going to be some crazy, because like if already a lot of crazy stuff happened with the personality changes and stuff, it's like, wow, we're going to really be pushing it later on in the show for like what would be, you know, what would be a episode 12 happening. Like I can't even imagine what that's going to be now because it'll have to be really big. Great job. He does such a great job. She does a great job as well. Very emotional. I don't think I cried. Did I cry? I've been crying at a lot of them lately. I don't think I cried at that one.
Sky.
I've been in my feels this
I guess. Or maybe I'm just remembering the fact that Tell the Nine Tail just made me weep endlessly at the last episode, and like I just extended that into everything else in my head. I'm not sure. But yes, love song for Illusion, which I like that title because to me it at least sounds a little different than other titles. Like the word illusion makes me think, okay, something's up with a character or something.
Yeah.
I really recommend it for people that like fantasy Segook stuff. If that's not your typical, you have to at least be into like maybe the dual role thing isn't like maybe something you want to check out. He does it really well. Like his voice changes, and I get so impressed with that stuff. Like the way people can change how they look out of their eyes in a split second. That just like blows my mind. So that's why I always enjoy seeing that. And he does a great job. And Natalia and I were talking about it on chat, and I was like, he can't miss. Like he just really, I think he's like in the Lee Jun school of just like idol actor who just, he can take any role and just like be insane in it. Yeah. And it just is amazing. Like you're just kind of in awe of how he does it.
He's unbelievable in every single thing I've seen him in. Like
Because like he was pretty good in Weak Hero
stunning.
Class, wasn't he?
Like he was crazy in Weak Hero Class. Like when I like unreal. And then in At a Distance Spring is Green. Like he's so good. Like he's incredible.
That's cool. It's always fun to find those people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really did appreciate the two personalities in his character, how they aren't just like black and white, and how it's actually both sides of it are way more complex than that. And so it's easy to be like, oh, this is the bad guy. It's not that simple. Like, that's actually a very warm-hearted side of him. And then his, like, quote-unquote good side is just kind of more proper and a little more cold. So, like, it's not as easy as bad and cold and blah, blah, blah. So, like, I don't think I've ever seen that in a character of that level. So, highly recommended for people that like that type of thing. I know that, you know, Seigooks aren't for everybody, so...
Yeah.
And there be gore and death that did happen, yes. So that's the way that goes.
Yeah.
How about you, Amanda?
Well, I have officially entered my anime era.
Yeah.
My youngest got a subscription to Crunchyroll for Christmas so that we could watch the Solo Leveling anime that started up. And we decided, since Solo Leveling's currently airing, it's one episode a week. That's a little hard, right? So we got to make our money's worth. So what's the best way to make your money's worth? We're watching One Piece. That's So we're about 200 episodes in. We're almost to the end of the second season.
Oh, perfect.
You got episodes to go, baby girl. Like,
it's so wild because you reach sort of the end and you're like, okay, this is clearly like the final countdown of the arc, right?
Yeah.
And so you're like, do you think it's going to be 4 or 5 more episodes? Like, he's fighting the big boss right now, so 4?
I can drag that shit out.
Like, it's wild how these things will go, but we're really enjoying it.
Good.
I think I was like, on day 2, I think we'd watched like 12 episodes or something, and it was like, I was, you know, that Brooklyn Nine-Nine meme of Rosa with her dog, and she's like, I've only had her for a day and a half. I'm like, I've only had Luffy for a day and a half, but if anything happens, I'll kill everybody.
I'm killing all of you, then myself. Yeah.
I'm like, I love this little baby. He's such an idiot. He's so dumb, but he's so great. I love his attitude, like his sense of, no, you're my friend, so you're one of my. Well, I don't want to be a pirate, but I'm a pirate, and you're my friend now, and you're going to come on my ship, so I guess you're a pirate now. And they're like, but I don't want to do that. And he's like, no, but I decided. Like, he adopts all these little people that he's like, no, I just decided. I need you, and I like you, so whoops, come on in. And like, his attitude of just, like, he'll get into these terrible situations, and you can't see how he's going to get out of it. And he's like, no, it's going to be fine. And they're like, how do you think this is going to be fine? He's like, well, I'm going to be the Pirate King, and I'm not the Pirate King yet. So I obviously can't die right now. And you're like, okay, sweetie. Like,
that's optimism that gets him through.
Right?
Like,
everything.
He's very
like,
determined.
But I will. And they're like, okay, little boy, because I mean, he's like a 17-year-old kid at this point, right? And it's like, he's telling grown-ups about how I'm going to be the Pirate King. And they're like, sure you are, kid. You don't even have a boat, you know? Like, it's like, but it's so good. But it's also, like, and for me, you know, you see the memes, you see the clips and all this stuff, and it looks really, like, goofy, right? And it is. Like, it has very goofy silliness. But it's also really dark at times and really deep. Like, these kids, I mean, you've got this crew of kids, and they have the darkest, most tragic little backstories. Not all of them. Like, a few of them are just sort of, like, normal level tragic. And then you've got like genocide and slavery and like, and it's like, whoa.
What was the tweet I saw the other day? It was like, you go into like season 1 Sanji and you're like, damn, like rough life having to, you know, he spent an island, like a month moored on the island. And then you find out that wasn't even top 10 of the shitty things that happened to him before he was 12. And you're just like, jeez.
It's just like, wow. You know, like you've got, you know, Nami, and she's basically sold herself into slavery to save the lives of her village and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
this is like, you know, that's pretty intense when you're 12. Like, okay, good job, kid. So yeah, there's just a lot of like, I mean, right now, season 2, you think you know what the bad guy is doing, right? He wants to take over and then it's like he reveals his big plan, and you're like, this is so much worse than what I thought you were trying to do. And like everybody is like, you watch all the characters have the exact same emotions you're having when they're like, what do you mean that's what you're trying to do? That's terrible. Like, please don't do a genocide. Genocide's
like,
bad.
I'm a villain, though. That's what the villain be doing, you know?
So, yeah, so we're very much enjoying it. We're probably going to slow down a little bit now because he's back in school. So, you know, we had a couple of weeks there of holidays where we could just
binge away,
knit and watch, and you know, but now it's like 1 or 2 episodes a day, so we have to, you know,
so you'll have good entertainment for like the next 6 years or so, is what you're saying.
Consistent.
Consistent One Piece.
You won't be bored.
No.
How long are the episodes usually?
Like 20, 25 minutes, something like that. Like there's a big chunk at the beginning and a big chunk at the end of, you know, as they do.
Opening credits. Epic anime opening credits.
Like when we're, sometimes we'll just take like the tablet into the kitchen in the morning and watch an episode while we're having breakfast or something. And the app on the tablet lets you, you know, skip the intro and all that, right? The Roku will not let you do that. No. So you've got to, okay.
Listen, with animes, each season gets new opening and end credits.
That's true.
Sometimes even mid-season.
And
so
sometimes
like,
with animes, the opening credits is such a good song that you're like, okay. I'm gonna say
what I love about anime opening credits is often they're so much more dramatic than like the show and you're just like,
the next scene that actually opens the episode, it's like
I'm eating breakfast, you know.
You're like, they really put their whole like their you know, animatusi into making this opening credit, you know what I mean? Like they're really selling it.
Yeah. So we're enjoying it. We're having fun, and I am sold. I am
nice.
A One Piece fanatic. So
you're like, I'm in the fandom now.
Yep. I have been looking up
after the One Piece myself
on AO3. I'm, you know, like
I'm headed to the Grand Line, baby.
So
have you watched the Netflix movie
yet? I have not watched that yet. So
I didn't know where you started.
Yeah,
so you're starting in the anime.
It'll be nice to like transfer over.
It is weird because so many people right now who are getting into One Piece are getting there because they started with the Netflix. And so I feel like I'm, for the time that I'm getting into it, doing it wrong, you know, almost. But like, this is how we're doing it. So
I really like the live action Netflix version. I thought
I've heard
it was very
so many good things about it. Yeah. So
like I find like a lot of like live action of animes, they forget that anime is fun.
Yeah.
And so like the shows are just like dark and sad because like they focus on the dark sad stuff in anime, which anime is also full of. But the One Piece was just like, what if it was goofy and fun still while still being dark, but also
right, which is exactly
silly and fun because the anime is silly and fun. Yeah,
like you've got people, you know, talking animals and a giant
fish people,
duck, and you know, like banana gators. Like this show does not take itself too seriously, but then all of a sudden, it's very, very serious, and you're like, okay.
You're like, oh, wait, so geez, okay, well, bye.
Somehow the way that it's all put together, it's still cozy. Like it's like I would call it a cozy anime. Like it feels good even when it feels terrible. Like you're like, this is terrible, but I know that Luffy is not the pirate king, so this is all going to
therefore.
But people do die,
and also,
right? You know, and you're like,
there are 1.5 billion episodes after this, therefore there has to be some semblance of character.
Yeah, and he is the main character, though in anime that's not always good.
It can go like astray at any time, but
I feel like we're pretty solid. You know, I'm good for another 800 or so episodes at least, right?
You're a straw hat now. You and the straw hats venturing together. Yeah. Lovely.
And then you can start reading them.
Oh,
my son just did. He just picked up the first book at the library today, so he's been like
mistakes were made.
He's gone all the way.
He's in it to win it.
He's reading One Punch, and he's reading.
One Punch is good. One Punch is good.
You know, Bleach and
classics.
So, I'm glad that we're doing the just these high school classics.
I know. Same.
He's starting out with his kids, his classmates at school are like, "Oh, you should watch Death Note," and I'm like, "No, you shouldn't watch Death Note.
Boo! Don't watch Death Note. Boo!
No.
You're 12.
I mean, I like Death Note.
He has
now.
I'm like,
get those mid-90s classics done first.
Yeah,
and
you should.
So
you should. I don't know. You should watch some Tenchi Muyo. No, don't watch Tenchi Muyo. I want to keep that
actually
to myself. Tenchi, listen. You know, besides, there's too many women breasting boobily in Tenchi Muyo for a 12-year-old. So save that one.
Yeah,
I
think that's for high school son.
Yeah. He's doing a good job of sort of seeing something, going, okay, I'll give this an episode or two. Nope, that's not for me, and moves to the next one. He's not sticking with something he hates, and he's not, not worried about it. And I'm like, that's good. Sounds good. Just enjoy yourself, kid. Get your money's worth out of your, present. So, shout out to my sister, because that was a great Christmas present.
Great. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, how to set a kid on a certain entertainment path.
She really did.
And Crunchyroll's got a lot of good stuff. So a lot of good stuff for all ages.
Don't have a lot, but there are some J-dramas on there.
Yeah.
So
true.
That's where Cherry Magic is.
And they have another little J-drama that's a little BL that's about kids and they're band members or whatever. So.
And no, that's going to be on Gagula. Never mind. Never mind. The Cherry Magic anime is going to be on Gagula.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Jessie, what are you watching?
Let's talk about LTNS, or, can I say this since we're on YouTube now? Long time no sex. It is currently airing, although sadly, it's only 6 episodes long, so by next week it's done, so whatever. Wow. It's a drama starring Isom and An Jae Hong. Essential premise of the show is that they're both a couple, they're married, and the bedroom's a little non-existent now. They've been together for a very long time. And through things that happened, which it's not spoilers, but it all only 6 episodes. It kind of feels like things that happened in the first episode is spoilers. But through things that happen, they essentially stumble upon, because they are very much living kind of paycheck to paycheck. He owns a taxi. She works at a hotel. They own a house, but interest rates are high and they're very worried about things. So they're doing kind of poorly in the financial thing. And through things that happen, they kind of stumble upon a lucrative business that they make by blackmailing people who are cheating on their significant others.
Okay.
So it is them kind of like doing stakeouts in the taxi cab and following people and then being like, hey, here's all the evidence. We will give this to your significant other if you don't pay us money. It is really good. I enjoy it. I think it won't be for everyone. Obviously, the subject matter is not going to be for everyone. It's also very much not for kids because you definitely see people in acts and there's very detailed descriptions of sexual acts. So, like, if that's something that you are not into or you're not of age, definitely don't watch this. I'm watching it on Viki, but I think it's like a really interesting plot, and you have that kind of development of like their marriage is not like so terrible that it's like you sense that they're going to get divorced. It's just like the weight of the world and just the weight of being with someone for that long with the world and finances and stuff happening. It's kind of made it kind of boring, and they've gotten like very complacent in where they are. But like you see the kind of like difference they are once they start like picking up in this like, you know, scheme that they're doing. And they do go full on, like they like hide themselves. They have like big cameras that they like take out to like take pictures hiding behind buildings, pretending they're delivery men to like drop off things. Like the money gets dropped off at weird places all the time so they can get it picked up and stuff. So it's got a lot of fun to it. I will say that also it might not be for everyone because I don't find it boring, but I have heard rumblings that people kind of find it boring. But I just like am interested in the story, and I think the two of them together are really fun together. Because it's very much playing how she normally plays, which is probably who she is in real life, very domineering and like, you know, just like there's a perfect scene. So they're sitting in the living room and they're watching the news and they're talking about like all these people who are like having to like add on all these different jobs because like the interest is so high and they can't afford life and stuff. And she's eating like her rice in her bowl while he's sitting in a chair sewing a button, and then he just hands her the shirt because it's his shirt or her shirt that he's sewing the button on for. And like so
that's right.
He's like, you know, kind of like goofy and like, you know, they're very much like opposites attract type. Like he's definitely not like as, you know, extroverted and stuff as her, and they just work really well. And I think acting wise they're working really well. I think it's an interesting like just setup of things, and it also kind of just shows kind of like just real life things essentially. I mean, like not everyone's going to like blackmailing cheaters, but like it is kind of like showing like the kind of realness of like things that happen and like the outside world being kind of the reason why sometimes it's like affecting your relationship, and it's not necessarily because it's you or like you weren't compatible. It's just like everything like just kind of snowballs in and just, you know, kind of creates those things. And then you also see that through the people who are, you know, cheating on their significant others too. So you kind of see the variations of that. When I was looking up earlier, I found out that the screenwriter is the same screenwriter and director for Persona, which is the little like indie with IU, the like 3-story one. We did an episode on it when it came out. It came out like 2018, 2019, so it's been a while. So like the first season of it, I know that the second season special just came out. But it like makes sense that it's the same writer too. Like it does have kind of that feel. It's not like super like indie feel, but it just has that kind of realness level to the show on a whole. So I definitely think if it's like something you're kind of interested in, checking it out, especially since it's only going to be 6 episodes. Yeah. And by like next week, we'll be entering in the last week of episodes because they do 2 a week. And so it's going to be an easy watch. And then like, I mean, like Isam's so great. Like you should always like watch her in things too. So there's always that going for you. But yeah, watch LTNS. Natalia.
Sounds fun. Okay. So I do this thing where it's like I'll have all these shows that I mean to watch, but like there's only so much time in the day and then I'll forget to watch them. And then suddenly something will remind me and I'll go and like watch it and realize, damn, I should have really watched this back when I first meant to watch it because it's absolutely incredible. And that happened to me with a drama from 2022 that I watched, I think, a week and a half ago, called The Killer's Shopping List. Not to be confused with A Shop for Killers, the currently airing one. Different show, though it's based on a book that's written by the same author who wrote the book that A Shop for Killers is based on. But The Killer's Shopping List is a crime comedy drama starring Kwang Soo, but not playing the ham-up character necessarily.
Which
he
was so good at those non-comedy
such a good actor.
He plays a sad sack, okay? He's an absolute sad sack whose mom owns a convenience store. And back when he was a kid, he and his mom caught a counterfeiter. And the counterfeiter vowed revenge against them. And has been tormenting them at this convenience store for years, which has driven Kwang Soo a little PTSD. Okay, like he's a little PTSD. But the other thing to know about his character is that he has a bit of an eidetic memory, not for like faces or people that he meets, but if he reads something, he remembers it. But despite this, has failed the public civil service exam multiple times and is ready to give up. And he's like, Mom, I'm giving up. And she's like, well, you're useless anyway, so I don't really care. His girlfriend's a cop, and his girlfriend's like, you're a sad sack with no ambition in life, and my parents will never approve of you. You need to get some ambition in life or we can't do anything. So he's like, Mom, please let me work at the store again. And she's like, fine, but you're on probation. So, so he's
that's
working
sad.
at this I know. He's working at this grocery store that's like staffed by this delightful, charming cast of characters, and there's all these regulars that come in, you know, like, and so he begins to like befriend all of these regulars that come in because he always remembers everything that they buy because he has like a crazy memory. And then a woman is murdered. Okay. Meanwhile, also the counterfeiter, who is like in his 50s, is also pretending to be an 80-year-old man with like a fake beard and like tormenting him. And he's known as the nunchuck grandpa because he sits in the park and practices nunchucks all the time. Because this is like part of his like plan for revenge.
Is that supposed to be comedic?
It's definitely supposed to be comedic. He's played by Jang Won Young, who always like. If you look up who that is, like, you'll know immediately the vibe of the character that he plays. That's the characters he plays. So he and this counterfeiter that he doesn't realize is the counterfeiter yet find a dead body. This woman has been murdered. And they're like, oh, shit. But then he starts to notice that another woman who has been stalked is being stalked, and the stalker is leaving things in their convenience store's bags at her house. And so she's at like the end of her rope. And then she gets murdered too. Ooh. And then he begins to notice that like there's certain things that were used in these murders that are sold at his convenience store. So he begins to like investigate the murders himself. By using, like, because he's convinced that either someone who works at the store or someone who shops regularly at the store is the murderer. And that's all I can say about the plot, because otherwise it's giving up way too much. This show was so good. I was actually shocked at how good it was. And also, for all y'all out there, I don't want to say who it is, okay? But let's just say there's some actual positive everyone's real cool about it. Trans representation in this show.
Oh, wow.
Did not see coming.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Like, there's a character who then, you know, I don't want to say which character, but like comes out as trans, and then you would think like the mom who's like, you know, in her 60s would like, and she's like, who hasn't wanted to be a woman? You know, like, who am I to say what you do with your life? Anyway, like, really good show. He's so good. Like, Kwang Soo, listen, I was talking with Scott, I was talking with Jessie about this, because I was like, this show is incredible. But I was like, you know what I really want, though? I really want Kwang Soo to play just a straight up romance lead.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want him to be like the domineering CEO, and it's not like hammed up, because people like to pretend like he's not suave and charismatic. Like,
just ridiculous.
Yeah, he is. He doesn't always have to play either sad sacks or comedic characters. I think he
allow him to be a tall drink of water, because he could totally do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He could, like, listen. He while he doesn't have like the, you know, Korean beauty standards face, he's got the charisma. He can riz y'all up, and we know. And
he can act like, so it works out.
Good actor.
And he was in full force in this one, and it is really good. There are some trigger warnings for people that I will warn people about. Child abuse is one. There is blood and murder, obviously. There's many
serial
murders. It's really nice. It's a really good show. So good. It
was on my list, and then I never got around to it, and kind of just
fell off.
But I think I am gonna move it up and try to watch it, especially because I just saw
9.5 out of 10.
It's like 8 episodes, so it's a little bit shorter.
Yeah, it's not even that long.
Yeah.
And I gave it a 9.5 out of 10 because I 9.5 out of 10 enjoyed it. You know,
nice, very nice.
Yeah, so that's on Viki for anyone looking to watch it.
Oh, and then earlier you saw that the screenwriter.
Yeah.
Yes, the screenwriter also wrote The Ghost Detective. If you're wondering, like, are they gonna pair like really heartfelt moments and make you really feel for these? Yes, they are. Okay. Like, I didn't go into this thinking I was gonna be like, oh my, Kwang Soo, why? But yes, I was.
Perfect.
I loved it. It was good.
Awesome.
Sky, what else have you been putting your peepers upon?
So I will say, I'm going to talk about this one because I know Natalia is also watching it. Marry My Husband. So currently airing on Amazon Prime, as far as where to find it. We have 8 episodes out as of this recording. I have watched like 7.5 of the episodes. I haven't quite caught up, but it's a good time. It is.
Oh, it's so good.
It is so fun starting out, for sure. Though I guess it really wasn't that fun. It was pretty sad at the beginning. So as far as what it's about, and this is not spoilers. This is like first half of the first episode.
Yeah.
Park Min Young's character has cancer. I'm trying to remember what kind. What kind of cancer does she have?
I don't think it really goes into
anyway. It was some anyway. So stayed like she's terminal, and she figures out like her husband's not being very supportive. You figure out he's a big jerk, pretty abusive, all types of stuff, real bad. But it sure looks like her best friend is like the only one there for her in her hour of need in the hospital and stuff, right? And you're the only one that's here for me, all that stuff. But then you see the best friend goes back home to the husband. while Park Min Young's character is in the hospital dying. So Park Min Young's character goes and sees that happening because she gets kicked out of the hospital because her husband hasn't paid the hospital bill.
Wow.
And
he's a real piece of shit. Like, I just
he's
a bad guy.
The couple from LTNS is what's eating.
Yes.
I mean, I feel at least she does do some things on her own, but you know.
Yeah.
Ethan will help
then,
her.
like, but before she reveals that she's there, sees them in the act, essentially, and overhears them talking about killing her. Like, not only do they want her to die faster, where did all the money go? He put it on insurance, pretty much on, like, whatever this cancer insurance thing was, I don't know. But essentially, they just want her to die faster so he can get more money. And, you know, she can be replaced by the best friend and all this stuff. And so, eventually Park Min Young's character reveals her, you know, I'm there, you know, gets mad, yells at them, all these things. And they fight back, and they don't be apologetic on any front. Dude pushes her. She lands on a glass table, and she was already of very ill health, but she passes away. Like, you assume, kind of. Except for, wait, she doesn't. She gets thrown back to 2013.
Isekai.
She gets isekai'd back to her life. Boom, she is at the office with her not quite yet fiance. Like, are they fiancés then?
They're dating.
They're dating. They haven't quite, like, he hasn't officially proposed. But they're, like, an office couple. And the best friend is also, like, contract employee, while the Park Min Young's character is more of a assistant manager level. All in the same marketing department, including with the boyfriend. So, like, they're all right there working together. And so she immediately hops back into this and is just, of course, terrified. Because, like, hello, this dude just killed you, and now he's being sweet. Like, what? Mm-hmm. And you're at work. So that's how you start off. And, like, that'll hook you pretty good. But then suddenly, there's this, like, general manager guy who just right off the bat, like, the first scene when she comes into her 2013, and she is, of course, more, and so she can't cover up that she is just terrified, physically, like, recoiling from her boyfriend at work. So she's, like, trying to get away from him, and she's just really scared. And, like, an accident happens, and, like, the general manager, like, saves her from this boiling water. There's just, and he's a dream. This character is not real.
He's too much.
And he's not even, like, after her in any fashion during the whole second episode, any of that stuff. She just looks so scared, and like she's having a really bad moment in time, and she's, like, fleeing the building, and he goes after her to make sure that his worker isn't going to go really have a bad time. And so, like, picks up her shoe behind her, and, like, really is like, are you okay? Like, just really. So from then on, you're just sold on this guy of, like, just being a compassionate human. But then he just keeps being, like, the kindest individual ever.
So
despite the fact that, like, she is acting really, really crazy, and he's just, like, really understanding of that, and you're like, why is he being so nice? I can't tell you a lot of the rest of the stuff there, but, like,
why indeed?
But it's really, and then you even get flashbacks. I mean, so I love time travel type stuff. Natalia loves Isekai.
Listen, I'm so down with the show. It comes out on Monday and Tuesday, and literally I wake up, like it's posted at 9 a.m. my time on Prime, and I wake up, my husband brings me a cup of tea, and then I just open my iPad, and click play, because I'm like, I can't do anything else in my day before I enjoy the newest episode of this show. Oh, it's good.
Oh, and you also have the idol guy in it. What was his name?
Oh yeah, from Circle.
Yeah. Li Gi
The-
Kwong.
the-
Oh,
Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
love
he
him.
plays a chef.
I saw it once on a TikTok and I was like, I need to tell Natalia. And I was like, wait a minute. Is she watching this?
I already do. No, it's
He plays a former classmate of Park Min Young's character. It's like, oh no, he's cute.
oh no. Like, I love it. I love it. Everything about this show is absolutely perfect. Like I have no criticisms of it whatsoever. It's killing it.
I guess it didn't get into the fact that like of course this is a very fantastical plot, all these things. Mm-hmm. However, the way they do show this boyfriend being horrific and like financially abusive too. Yeah. Emotionally, like just physically abusive a little bit. So like trigger warnings all around. I mean, I've obviously said enough. Like if you can't handle some of that, probably don't watch the show. But the way they show all the emotions that Park Min Young's character goes through in dealing with him, even as she time travels back to still deal with this stuff, very realistic. Like they do a very good, compassionate job at that, and they show her side of how she ended up in those situations and how it's like not her fault that she is having even not that they go in detail about like the financial abuse, but they even kind of talk about how like she wants to leave the situation immediately when she gets back in time, right? How do you do that though if he already has his mitts in all of your accounts and you've already given him all this money and you don't have near enough to go move or something? Like you can't just pick up and leave. Like this is going to have to be a longer process of how to. And he's the type that if you say the words break up, he won't do it too. So like it's not that simple. So and the way that's all portrayed does not feel like, you know, they're not poking fun. It's handled very well and it's very realistic. So that's what kind of like grounds the entire. So there's that, and then you have like also work projects and how that's very important to her and how she kind of remembers, oh yeah, back in 2013 I had ideas and I was like my own person and I had ambition and I didn't get to pursue that because I eventually got married and then I had to like put all that aside essentially. She kept working back then, but like she didn't get to do the things that she wanted in that. And so she kind of, you see her reignite her fire of refinding herself even within, because she can't immediately get out of this horrific relationship, but like she refines some stuff. And then of course you get a little makeover moment with a cute little new friend that she has.
Yes. Nice.
And I think the cute little new friend is also, she's really sweet and funny, and she's very like, very extroverted, and that helps Park Min Young's character, who's very introverted, have a sense of security with somebody, you know, outside of the two people that are closest to her that are horrific to her and killed her. Like, kind of this new character that she obviously in the past hadn't connected that much with. So like she chooses to connect with this younger coworker, and super sweet, and then eventually is like, oh, you're going to a class reunion? We are going to go get you dolled up. And it's just like, oh, which like, when you've seen this character be in so much pain in the hospital by herself, like, and you can tell she hadn't kept herself up or ever bought herself new clothes. She always bought the boyfriend and the husband all the fancy things. Like, he always took all the nice stuff. And so someone that's been so abused to finally, like, even give herself anything. So it was like, that's why it's so fun. Like, you get a lot of funny moments too, because of course you get some rom-com levels to it, but I really do think there is a lot of serious with the crap that she's dealing with. So, and
so
also,
would you call it a rom-com, or is it more like a mellow or a makjang, or like where
it's
would
all the things.
I will say,
it's
if
a
you
revenge drama.
It's a revenge drama. It's a mellow revenge drama, I think, is what I would call it.
Okay.
I I would
It
I would
sounds
say that
darker than like Perfect Marriage Revenge. Like it's
Absolutely.
definitely got a darker vibe than that one.
Yeah.
like the comedy really only centers around kind of that one sweet character that gives the makeover. Like she's kind of the little bit of funny that you have, but even that it's within kind of the bounds of work and stuff a little. But that's what I'm trying to say. Like it's actually a pretty dark show. And yeah, she's really trying to get revenge for everything that occurred. But then you have this nice dude character who's he's the sweetest. And
He's
even
not real.
he's not real. Well, like of course,
Not
he's not,
real.
but like he's really not real. I messaged Natalia. I wish I could remember what I said, but it was very much like this guy. Like, oh my goodness! Like I didn't. It was really funny.
He's too much. He's too much. He's too perfect. But listen, it's all good.
But
And
even
he has a
just
cat.
as like a boss, it was like, what type of boss is this? Like, really taking care? Like, what? What type of guy is chase down your like former classmate guy for you, even though you didn't anyway? Just, what is that about?
Okay,
Yeah, and
Thomas.
they never explicitly say, hey, he's a cat dad, but they show you he's a cat dad. His fancy apartment, not only do you just have some cat accoutrements, you have like a wall that is installed with these customized
jungle gym
Yeah,
stuff.
I
Yeah.
love
Like-
those.
stylish, and it's just like, oh, this cat owns this apartment. I see what's happening
I
here.
see. Mhm.
The show is so good. You should watch it if you're not watching it already. Like it's really enjoyable.
I do think I think you do have to be in the right headspace to pick it up, though, because you do have to. They show the things that happen to her right at the beginning, so you have to be in the right headspace for that.
Sure.
But it's very like, yes, give me more.
Yeah.
Like,
Perfect.
so how about you, Amanda?
I just started a new C drama yesterday. It is called Our Interpreter, and it is about a girl who is a genius translator, interpreter.
Of course.
Of course, because you can't just be a regular one. You have to be a genius, whatever you do, right? She is very, very good at her job. You see her, she knows how to like throw the idioms in and stuff like that. She's not she just feels like she's having a conversation, which is excellent. And she works in business fields. She's highly sought after, and she's been asked to come do this last minute job because somebody else has gotten sick, and they're friends with this company. So her company is like, you know what, we will lend you our best. She can come in and help you out and everything. And she gets there, and it's her ex-boyfriend that she broke up with 8 years ago, who is bitter, very, very bitter. She, walks up and goes, "Hi, this is the first time I've ever met you. Nice to meet you. I'd love to work with you." And he's sort of staring at her like, okay. So, he is a software genius because, of course, he has created a translator AI system. So he's doing a big press conference to reveal his new software and how fantastic it is and how it's gonna, replace human translators someday and all this stuff. And she's like, "Oh, good. Let me."
Hi, buddy. You're
Nice.
so bitter.
I'm
You're
so
so bitter
glad
that
I'm
you want to
here.
ruin my career.
Yes.
I got it. Okay.
Wonderful. So, like, down to the point where during this press conference, he basically has a race, like just spur of the moment. She has no idea this is coming, and he's like, "Okay, we're going to translate ancient Chinese poetry, which is notoriously difficult to translate well, and on the fly, and see who does it fastest," right? Well, of course, his software does it the fastest, but she takes a moment. She doesn't try to race. She just thinks it over, and then she she translates, and I mean, the room is full of a bunch of reporters, but also like reporters who are involved in translation work and stuff like that, so they understand what goes into it. And they're all like, she was a few seconds slower, but she came up with poetry. Like she gave us poetry. So this is a much better translation. And he's like, give me time, I will get there. He's a dick. Like he's terrible. But what the sort of saving grace is that her sidekick best friend is this guy who is like knows about their past because they all went to college together. And he's like, you two were inseparable, like for a year, 2 years, you absolutely inseparable. I went away to do like military service. I come back, you've broken up, you hate each other's guts, you won't talk. What happened? And she's like, he was lazy and whatever. And she just has this like rote thing that she says every time. Like, he was lazy and he didn't have any ambition, and so I had to, right? Now, in the, like the thing on, when you look up the drama, it tells you that she broke up with him 8 years ago because her mother basically told her she had to, because she had to pursue this one line of career. She has to go to, you know, this school and this, you know, do all this stuff so that she can achieve the goal of being a UN translator, because that's the pinnacle of success. You have to be a UN translator. I never got there, but your grandfather was a UN translator, and we have to strive to, you know, match grandpa, kind of thing. So she broke up with him. Basically, like, I've watched like 2 episodes. Basically, she broke up with him because he didn't get into the grad school that was close to the grad school that she had to go to in order to, you know, pursue her dream. And he's like, but I got into this like equally excellent grad school. It's just like not in the same city. And she's like, nope, you didn't try hard enough. I guess you're just, you know, not good enough. And she, right, because like she has to make him not want her anymore, kind of thing, because she wants him. So if he has any sense of why she's breaking up with him, she knows he'll just hang on. So he's kind of got a reason to be bitter, like, you know, but so she's telling this to the best friend, and he's like, yeah, I don't buy that. I know you, I know him. That's a lie. Are you going to tell me the truth? She's like, that is the truth, and I am sticking by it. He's like, okay, sure. And meanwhile, the ex, his like right-hand woman, is similar. She knows all the different details of their past. She wasn't part of their life at that time, but he has confided these things in her. And so she's like, so are we done now? Have you got it out of your system? Can we go back to working now? And he's like, nope, I'm gonna do some more. And she's like, that's very mature of you, sweetie. I'm very, very happy to call you my business partner. Wonderful. So it's kind of nice. They're not setting it up, I don't think, for like the besties to get together. That's not like this. They kind of seem like they're setting it up for like her bestie to wind up with her cousin, who feels very, very young compared to them. And it just is kind of like, all right, I guess. I mean, she's an adult. She's gone to college. She's an adult. She feels young, you know, and you're like, and he's her boss. And you're like,
oh, yeah.
And like, I think what they've indicated is he injured himself like 10 years ago. He injured himself rescuing a bunch of like high school kids or something from the wood. Like, do we have
Does that make it better?
These are the classics, right?
Yeah,
you know?
So cool. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's really good. They had some really good discussions about what makes good translation. What's the difference between translation and interpretation? like, will machines ever be able to be as good as a person? They could be faster, but will they be as competent? And so there's really good conversations that way. Unfortunately, there's also a lot of like AI is the future kind of nonsense that I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
If AI existed to like make people's lives better, that's one thing, but
yeah, and like, so they show, you know, they show like a flashback he had of how great his software worked compared to the translating software that is on the market these days, because this woman is at a hotel and she's trying to, you know, converse with the concierge, and it's like, it's just coming out a jumble of words that don't make any sense, and she's like, I just don't understand. And then he uses his software and it helps, and you're like, you see how, yes, obviously you can't just you can't hire a translator to walk around with you all the time. This is useful. But then, you know, he has to go in further, and it's like, but there are times when you need somebody who can on the fly interpret what you mean, not just the words that you're saying, right? And yeah, like his big example that I was just like, oh, if this is what the drama is going to be, I'm going to have to probably walk away because it's so annoying. Was he gives this big conference and he's talking about how great technology is, how awesome AI is. Like, this big company was doing a documentary and they searched and searched for the right, you know, voiceover person to do it, but they, you know, the only voice they could think of that they wanted was this famous actor who had died 3 years earlier, and you know, and so we were able, by gleaning his past work, we were able to have him 3 years after his death.
Enough of this shit.
Well, it's been fun. Back it up.
They twist it, you know, he says, and we were able to give his family this wonderful memory. It was like, no! You like reanimated his corpse. That's not a cozy memory. Like, so we'll see. It's a 36 episode drama, so like,
but it's Victoria's song.
That's what I was about to ask. Is Victoria from
good.
FX? Like, I had seen pictures of it. I just didn't know what the name of the drama.
Yeah, so like, I really like it. Like, I've watched about 3 episodes now. I'm enjoying it.
You just need to stop with the AI.
See that would be one of those C dramas where you watch about maybe 20 episodes and then you're like, yep, that was enough. I'm good.
It'll probably be very, look, this is how real life interpreters can still have a job and be hand in hand with this marvelous AI. That's going to be like, okay.
Yeah.
For the glory of China, AI.
Yeah, we're not pro AI. I don't know if anyone's picking this up.
We haven't figured it out yet.
We're very anti-current use of AI. Yeah.
So, I don't know. It seems like they're doing a good job with it. I was talking to friend of the podcast, Annie, who is a translator, and saying, you know, asking her, and she's like, I need to be in the right headspace or else I'm worried I'll like tear the whole thing apart, right? Because that's like a lot of people, you know, doctors who watch medical dramas are like, I have to just stop right
always
now.
If I'm watching a drama and if there happens to be a hospital scene, I'm like, hey, and I'll get my husband in the room. I'm like, hey, look at this. How's it going?
I do it every time there's theater stuff. They never get it right, ever. Right.
You know what?
Eric's always like, the air thing's not even hooked up. Like, it's not.
To be honest, like, the sad sack life of the graphic designer is usually pretty accurately portrayed, not gonna lie.
If they get one career right, it's too hard.
They're like, oh, clients with unreasonable demands that make no sense and just sitting at a computer crying. Accurate.
So, yeah. So far so good. We'll see. How about you, Jessie?
So I started the Thai slasher horror drama DFF, also known as Dead Friend Forever. I am only 2 episodes in, but I think as of this point, there's only 5 episodes out. Maybe 6 came out today. I don't remember. It's one a week airing, so I'm not worried about catching up because it's going to take so long anyway, so it's like fine. But the essential premise of the show is this group of guys who go out to hang out at a house that is conveniently very far away from anyone who like ever lives around the area and has no cell service and it's completely secluded, and they don't have any person to drive them off the property because the uncle has driven them all on the property and is gonna just left them there so that they could have their fun times at this house. I mean, like everyone would do the classic capers of a slasher. And so they spend a lot of time together, and one of the things that they like to do is they like to make horror films, and so that's kind of like very present in it. So like a lot of the time is like them making the horror films or just like watching old ones that they've made or like clips that they've like recorded in the past. And at the night of the like first night that they're supposed to be there, I think they're only supposed to be there like the one night and then leave the next day or something like that. But that like night, how do I describe it without like spoiling it? Something happens with one of the guys. Very serious. He may have been like being chased by someone and may have run into something when he was out in the forest. So think about it.
Yeah, just use your imagination. You can figure out what went down. Horror
find him and are like, well, we can't get any service. We can't even walk to a hospital. Nobody's going to come by. We have to basically keep this friend alive until the next day when the uncle's coming back. And that sets up a whole thing where they're trying to figure out what is going on because weird things start to happen. They start to get the sense they are being targeted by someone or something. They don't know what's going on. They are questioning things. They're questioning their movie. They're questioning like if they see things in the background of some of their recordings, if like that's the person, who is it? Why are they there? And then just kind of madness ascends each episode. Remember this. This show is called Dead Friend Forever. I just want to make that clear. I also kind of wanted to talk about this, not just because I was like trying to find like talk about things because I'm watching a lot of like airing stuff, or at least a lot to me. But I have seen it floating around labeled as a BL, and I'm going to stop you. I need to stop you there because the people who are going to watch, because it's a BL and because their person is in this show, are not the same people who can be watching this show. So, I will
Does gay stuff happen? Yes.
Yes. But that's just like... Yeah. But here's the thing. While it is very clear they do not have a lot of money, that does not mean gore doesn't happen. Now, think about gore on a budget, and maybe you can watch that. But, like, this is a full-on slasher. If you think of, like, normal things that, really gruesome things that happen in normal slashers, this drama has that. So that is why I don't think the average BL watcher should be watching this drama. Now, granted, it is kind of, it's, like, not done supposed to be cheesy. It's just cheesy because it is low budget and things that should be spurting blood are not splurting blood. But like it still is a horror. It is set up to be a horror. It wants to be a horror. There's no like it's pretending like it is anything but a horror. So I want like people going into this to know that, because I know a lot of people also, it doesn't matter if they can see the like actual gruesomeness. if you see the act of something happening, it's still triggering to you. So I just want very clearly, like, do not come into this if you are not prepared for gore, even if it's not like executed as well as it possibly could.
Yeah.
And that's not me saying bad things in it. It's just it's the way of the show. It just
The
doesn't
reality
have
of the
backing.
situation.
It is a little bit campy, but it like some of the like scenes are not campy. So I think that's also like plays into like where I think a lot of people, if they're kind of misled into like maybe thinking that they could watch this, like especially because it is a series too. So I feel like it just like it presents itself as being like a really tame horror when it's not that. And I wouldn't want someone coming into this and kind of seeing some of the stuff. Like, I'm not like spoiling anything, but second episode happens. There's a big thing that happens. And I think a lot of people who do not like horror would be very traumatized by what happens, like a big thing that happens. So I just want to put that out there as like a safety, caution, trigger. Please don't come into it just thinking you're normal BL. It's just like any other slasher, people are doing stuff. Like sex in slashers is like a thing. Like it's always a thing, you know? So like it's not just some really nice little like, and then they're like having a fun time by the fire and drinking hot cocoa. And then little bumps in the night.
Ain't that kind of show.
It is not that show. But there's a lot of people on it. I am not a Thai actor person, so I can't tell you if any, like, who the people are. I know there's one specific person where people are like, oh no, I cannot have this person die. I cannot have this person die. So your faves are probably on it as well. So I like it. I mean, like, I like horror and I like slashers, so I was kind of primed to like it. You watched one episode, right, Natalia?
Yeah, I started it. I haven't finished it yet. But yeah, I watched one episode.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, and then I watched one episode, then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wait for the rest of the episode to come out, and then I'll watch the rest of them, because it feels like a, cohesive unit.
Yeah, it does kind of go into each other. But I was actually like really pleasantly surprised that it was as horror as it was, because I really wasn't expecting that. I was kind of expecting a little bit less, which I don't know why. I was thinking that because usually Thai horror dramas are horror, but I was just like, I think because maybe like the title of it is so cheesy, and like you could not have that title. Like, you could give the show a different title. Like, you really should. The Dead Friend Forever just kind of, like, it doesn't really make sense. And I would like, think it's going to be more campy or bits of comedy because of that. Mm-hmm. But there's not really comedy in this at all.
Yeah.
But I am definitely keeping up with it, or keep on watching it. I've been kind of watching a lot of stuff for the podcast, and then another thing that's on Asian dramas. So I was kind of like behind on my watching, but now I'm like back up to it. And like, especially this week, I started really getting into the things that I had been watching. So I enjoy it, but definitely not for everyone.
Okay.
So in like a fun sort of twist situation, the next show I'm talking about stars the same male lead as the Chinese show that Amanda was just talking about.
Nice.
Which is Shen Jingxi. Anyway, I'm watching the currently airing C-drama My Boss, which is on Viki if you want to watch it. There's currently 21 episodes out. It's just another one where I'm like, well, I've woken up. Now it's time for me to sit back and take a sip of the old tea and watch my new show. So the basic premise is the main character is a woman played by Zhang Runan, who is a lawyer, and she's working for like a real D-bag. And then they're at like this client dinner where the client's getting all like sexist and gross. And she's like, this is bullshit. But meanwhile, she's overhearing a conversation happening behind her from this guy and a middle-aged woman that sounds a bit more salacious than you would think, where this woman's like, I will pay you for your time to like you know, come shopping with me and all this. So she's like, man, I can't believe this like male escort is out here like working his wares at this. So she dramatically quits her job because this manager is getting like, you know, that's why do we hire women lawyers to like look pretty for clients. She's like, you know what, fuck you, storms out of the restaurant. One of the funniest scenes I've ever seen. Rips off her clip-in bangs. I was howling laughing. I was like, this is incredible. And then she's like, I'm quitting and finding a new job. So she immediately gets hired at this like really prestigious law firm. And she's like, oh my God, this is so great. And she's like, okay, I'm arriving at my new apartment. Like, it's so wonderful. But then when she gets to the apartment, the male escort that she met the other night is also going into her new apartment. And she's like, hold the phone. Turns out it was double rented to.
Of course.
And then they're like, okay. She's like, listen, we can be roommates, okay? We can be roommates. Listen, I'm not going to get into your business. You're not going to get into my business. It's going to be fine. He's like, I don't want a roommate. And she's like, well, fucking deal
what are we
with
going to do? It's the thing.
So meanwhile, she's like, you know, I'm really concerned about you. I think you should choose a new line of work. Like, you know, what you do is illegal. And, you know, and he's just sitting there like, huh? So then she goes to work at her new job. And turns out he wasn't a male escort. He was a divorce lawyer who's the head partner at her new firm.
Of course.
So,
I never would have expected
and the woman
that.
offering to pay to hang out with him was his mother, who he never hangs out with because he's working. So she's just mortified now. But then you very quickly find out
that's when you just leave your life.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. You then find out some like key information about these people. One, he has horrible insomnia and like is tired all the time. And two, his co-partner who owns this firm with him only hired her, who's responsible for hiring, only hired her because her sister, who is a much better lawyer than she is, was also his first love. And he's trying to recruit the sister, who he recently found out got divorced, into their firm by, like, being friendly. So, like, the partner of the main dude. So, meanwhile, the main dude finds out that, like, she cooks late at night and she, like, sings to herself while she's doing it. And the sound of her singing puts him to sleep.
Aww.
So, yeah. So anyway, he's like, well, shit, like, this is, like, but he doesn't want to, like, tell her this because, like, he's like, no, I can't, like.
No, that's creeptastic. I can't say that.
Yeah, I can't, yeah, and also, like, listen, I don't, I'm still her boss, like, I gotta keep it professional, like, so, like, the C-drama machinations of him being like, you need to make late night snacks tonight, and then him just, like, lying in bed, like, please start singing what you do. But then, like, there's another scene that this was the scene that sold me on this show. The ripping out the clip and bangs was the first one that I was like, okay. But the second one, right after she starts working there, she's trying to, like, ingratiate herself into the office and make nice with people. So she makes a cup of coffee and brings it to his office. And she puts it on his desk, and then he launches into this huge speech about how, like, women and male lawyers are equal. Like, just because you're a woman, you don't have to do secretarial work. You're a lawyer, not a secretary. You don't have to make me coffee. Like, and she's like, well, I was just trying to be nice, but okay. And then just, like, takes the coffee back and starts drinking it herself and, like, leaves. And he's just like, wait. He realizes he's screwed himself out of a coffee. The show is so much, like, I was really looking for a C-drama that would just, like, really, like, give me the vibe that you're really looking for in a C-drama. And this one is the vibe, if you know the vibe, if you know. She's very plucky and sweet. He's tsundere to the absolute max, right? But it's definitely, it's not like a she fell first, he fell first and harder, and she's just
That's what makes it fun.
He's also trying to get advice on, like, an online forum, like,
Oh.
but not giving the people on the online forum, like, the full story, and so they're giving them terrible advice for the situation.
Oh, Redditors.
Meanwhile, like, his co-partner is, like, really trying to rizz up this divorced sister, but the divorced sister's ex-husband is boo, thumbs down. He's another lawyer who's, like, at their like rival firm. And he sucks. Like, he's just piece of shit. And so she's like, but he's like stalking her too. Like, he's like, he initiated the divorce, but he's also like acting like she should come back to him, but he's like remarried. Anyway, he's like, trash guy. So anyway, chef's kiss. It's delightful. I'm really enjoying it. It's 36 episodes, but they're currently airing. So, like, it's like Monday to Friday, you get one episode every day. They're like, 40-minute episodes. If you're looking for that, like, real C-drama rom-com that's just like, it's like, that guy is so mean at the beginning. She's so plucky. He has a heart of gold. His mom's really funny and is like trying to get them together because he doesn't date and she's desperate for a grandkid.
He fell first.
Ooh, yeah, like, oh no, like, he fell first because
cohabitation.
Just sweet. Yeah, the cohabitation. Oh, it's got it all. It's got it all. And then they're just going around doing divorces. It's real good fun. It's
Perfect.
It's good fun. It's good fun. I'm really enjoying it. You've got, like, the whole, like, found family office family situation because there's, like, a team that works under him with, like, 3 other lawyers, and one of them's, like, convinced that he's, like, the boss's favorite, but the boss has never indicated that he's liked more than the rest of them at all. But, it's that sort of just goofy good time that you are looking for in a C-drama. So that's on Viki, and it's super good times. That's my boss.
Nice.
And now, before we say goodbye, the quick roundup of anything else we've been watching. Sky, take her away.
My quick roundup will be a little long, probably, but
okay.
I watched and finished Death's Game, so I watched the second season, whatever you want to call it. I can't tell you anything about it, so Death's Game. I guess I will say, the vibe of the first half of Death's Game and the vibe of the second half are kind of wildly different as far as levels of horror elements and gore. So that definitely wasn't as much of a thing in the first half. Huge aspect of the second half. So I just want to warn accordingly for that. I thought it was really well done. I really enjoyed the show. Love it. Tell the Nine-Tailed, watched and finished that whole thing for our Lee Dong-wook episode. Talked about that already. So I'm currently watching the C-drama Derailment. It is on Viki. Yes. And it is finished. I am not finished with it. I am only like up to episode 7, I think, on it. It is, I didn't read, I think it might be a 40 episoder. It's pretty long. It's as far as it's based on a novel by Priest, known for like Guardian and things like that. It is a time travel, not gay show. Straight. But
you try hard enough, it can be.
Listen, if you believe in yourself enough, anything can be gay.
You know? Sure. If you really want to try that hard. I'm just saying there's a male lead and a female lead. Good luck to you. But what I do want to say about it so far is the female lead character, she starts off in her first life that you see her in, she like is a heiress type thing, like a chaebol, very wealthy, successful, like business lady. And then she gets betrayed and stuff. And so then it looks like she's going to die, but then she ends up getting sent to just kind of another life, but it's still her body, still her name, but like everything else is different. And she knows nobody in this new life know anything. But what I like about both, like, so then you're in that current character of she's kind of in this new life and stuff. She is really, really kind of authoritative because of her past life as like this heiress. She's kind of grumpy and kind of authoritative because she can be. Mm-hmm. And so now she's poor and doesn't have any money, but she still like doesn't let people get away with shit with her at all. Mm-hmm. Nice. And even though she's put into these really bad situations, she's still like not gonna take it from people. And so that makes it, I think, a lot easier to watch, despite the fact, you know, she's going through rough time, but like her attitude really helps with that. And so I can't tell you a lot about it, but it's really cool. I'm really liking it so far. The time travel aspect, it's very mysterious. Like you can't really, it's like, why did this happen? Like you don't know, she doesn't know what happened. And then the male lead, like he had a friend that kind of up and disappeared. And then come to find out that's kind of like the link between them somehow, but like she doesn't understand. So even up until episode 7, they're finally kind of starting to be like figuring out that they both kind of know that. But there's a lot still to unravel with it. So it's really fascinating. Like I'm really liking it so far. Also, like she gets a job in a salon and that becomes like a big part of a lot of the episodes. Her figuring out how to shampoo hair. So what I did like, I have to say this one scene. So she's really grumpy, and of course, like, you know, she's having to be like janitorial work at this salon. She is not having a good time. She's not being successful because she's not, you know, rubbing elbows with her coworkers because she's not good at that stuff at all. And anyway, so she failed like trying to get promoted a bit to like officially be a trainee or whatever. And so the main lead character, who's pretty tsundere, just saying, all of a sudden, come to find out he's like a part of the salon, like she didn't even know. And so he comes in, he's like, let me show you how to shampoo hair. And so he just like gives her quite the head massage. And you just see like, as she's laying there and he's doing that, you can see, first of all, like her stress melts away. Her grumpiness melts away. And then she's kind of like, oh no, he's hot.
Oh no. I fell.
and then he's drying her hair. And he's not like making any moves or anything. But of course, the way the camera works, it's slow motion. It's all the looks and all the glances. But like, he's not making a move. But she's just like, oh no. So it's really fun so far. I'm having a good time with it. I picked up another C-drama because of course I did. Costume C-drama, A Journey to Love. I want to say it came out last year, I think. I think it finished not really that long ago, honestly. It is 40 episodes. Why did I pick it up? Because it's like, again, assassin. When you say the word assassin, I'm there. Like, it's gonna happen. So the female lead, it's like, oh, she's an assassin. And then the male lead is a part of this. It's like essentially a establishment of an organization of spy stuff. And they're kind of on opposite sides of these fictional nations. And even the like spy establishment, you have 6 different like kind of job occupations within that, and they all have cool names. I've even seen some of the promotional stuff about this. There's all these guy characters that are in all these different spy job occupation things, and they tried to make it kind of look like boy band stuff. Like, so they'd be dressed in these costumes, but then they'd be like modeling a certain way with this like modern music. Very, very funny. Cracked me up. Also, the cast did a photo shoot for a rock magazine. So there's a really cool photo shoot that they all did for modern stuff. So like I already had seen all that, and so it was always on my radar. And I follow somebody on Twitter that's like a stan of this dude. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna cave. And sure enough, it is so fun. I've watched 4 episodes. And it doesn't like have a slow build. It's very much like, oh, you want to see her be an assassin? Here, she's being an assassin. There you go.
Nice.
And oh, what's this guy doing? Well, it really cracked me up because it shows this big battle because of big battle. And they don't really tell you straight up like what his main job is later, but they lead you to believe he was a military cook, a military chef, but I misread it. I just want to fess up to that. It was pretty funny because I was like, on this battlefield littered with dead bodies, and there's this main guy and then this other guy that finds him. And, you know, the other guy is trying to bring him back. Like, no, come back, because, like, you can't desert, like, this whole... And he's like, I have put forth so many years of my life. I'm done. Like, I am quitting. I don't want to do this anymore. Tell them I'm dead. I am, like, not going to do this anymore. And I noticed, I was like, he has a huge walk on his back. Like, why is he carrying around this obviously heavy bowl thing? Like, what is going on? And and they only said a couple times, I was like, military chief. No, I misread it. Military chef. He was the military chef.
Suddenly the walk makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
So then it shows him, like, dramatically dragging the walk through the desert in order to... It's just really funny. Anyway, come to find out, he's actually, like, a really well-known intelligence spy guy and really good at martial arts. Wants to be done with it because he's been injured so much. He's like, I've given my life to this. It sucks. I'm really done with this court stuff. It's awful. I don't want to do it anymore. But things happen. It's great. I'm really enjoying it. I'm sure I will talk more about it some other time. Captivating the King. I started that. So it's a K-drama. It's on Netflix. 2 episodes are out so far. Watched both. They are longer episodes. Just heads up for that. Yeah. Tonally, it's right there with, like, My Dearest, in my opinion, so far. Not as much dying yet. So, but it's kind of set, it's set in that time period, though. Like, the Ming and the Qing, like, that, whenever China was having 2 groups, like, really fight over it, and then it really affected Korea, and they took over Korea, and it was this whole thing. That's what's going on in the drama, so, like, time period wise. And so the main guy character, he is the Grand Prince. So notice, not Crown Prince, Grand Prince. And because he's the brother of the king, and he has to go. He gets forced to go be at whatever China in charge. So he had to go, like, be an envoy because they be a hostage essentially. But since he wanted to really work hard to save all of his essentially enslaved people, all the enslaved Korean people there, like, he tried to ingratiate himself with the people in charge to try to save his people, but he didn't ever betray his country or anything. Very upright character. So great, like, and they don't even show all that much. Like, this is all very short, like, that was, like, the introduction of him. So he comes back. During that time, he learned how to play baduk. And so then he comes back and he figures out the king has kind of been his brother has been turned against him to, like, think that now he's a traitor and stuff. He's like, great. So, like, I guess I'm gonna pretend to be just, like, not caring and go, like, womanize and stuff, quote unquote, but really he's not like that, but he's trying to just survive by pretending to be like that. And, anyway, runs into the female lead who is dressed as a guy because she is this amazing baduk player, and she makes people bet, like, even to play with anybody, she makes them bet stuff so she can earn a lot of money to send to free more of their people. Like, that is her thing. Wow. And her dad has always known about this Grand Prince being a really good guy, and so she also knows he's a really good baduk player, so, like, if I could ever meet him, I really want to, like, play against him because he sounds like this great guy, even though, like, everyone has kind of been poisoned against, like, popular opinion is against this prince now, but she's like, no, and so she's, like, all dressed up like a guy, and she's, like, arguing, like, no, like, he's great, yada yada, and, you know, he's essentially behind her, just, like, welling up with tears, like, somebody loves me still. And then from then on, I was like, I am sold because they have this whole word of like different class friends. So like he says that they're friends and stuff. I'm like, oh no, like, and then they play Badook together and it's sweet. So great, love it. So if you like Sagook, go forth. Nightflower, love it. I'm watching on Kokoa. It's up to episode 4. I've watched nearly that. I'm kind of catching up a little, but really having a good time. It is on the comedy side of things, if you don't prefer the comedy Sagook. But Honey Lee, like, doing her thing of...
Love her.
She's a widow who... Her husband died the morning before their wedding.
Oh.
And it's been 12 years, and pretty much widows are not allowed to even go out of the house. And so it's stupid. Like... And so she was from a military family, and her parents had died, and her older brother taught her already how to fight and stuff. And so she's just this really athletic person who, like, is locked in her house and has to just be at the shrine all the time. So what does she do? She pretty much goes and becomes Robin Hood at night to go, like, help people and beat up really awful dudes, because, like, what else are you gonna do? But oh no, there's a new, like, essentially police captain type guy that shows up.
Oh no.
Oh no. And they, like, meet when he's trying to, like, bust a gambling ring type situation. And she shows up because she's trying to find this deadbeat dad who was, like, about to give the deed of his house or something. And, like, she's trying to beat him up and tell him not to do that. Anyway, these two people fight together. Oh no, like, he figures out pretty quick, that's a woman, that is not a dude, like, what's with that?
Oh no.
Oh no, he's really smart, and so of course he's gonna figure that out really fast who she is. So, that's it. I mean, but it's really fun, because, but it's interesting to see a little bit of the cultural aspects of the restrictions of women at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so even in these comedic type shows, showing that, like, no, if you were... Because it always talks about... The belief system at the time was very... Chaste women have to act a certain way, so even if your husband died, you cannot even hand a man an apple, because what if your fingers touch? Like, just these... Such restrictions on it. And so, the show will always, like, really emphasize something like that, and it'll always be, like, either before or after a scene where she very much has hand-to-hand combat with the dude, and, like, he's holding her or something. It's just really funny.
Yeah.
So, really fun. I'm enjoying that, because the people in there are great. Those are my main ones. I also watched some movies, watched Heartbreak Library, watched Recipe, and watched Dream. We did that for the...
movie night
that we had, and I really enjoyed it because it was soccer. Like, I had a really good time with it. So sorry, that was mine. That was my long thing. Amanda.
I'm still watching We Go Fast on Trust, which is a very enjoyable C-drama that has a name that actually kind of, I mean, it's about racing. They go fast on trust, because instead of love, you know, as you tend to expect in a C-drama rom-com. And they talk about trust a lot, about how he trusts her to keep him safe in his car, and because she's an engineer and everything. And before he even knows she's an engineer, he trusts her judgment because she speaks up in a couple of situations. And he's like, no, I want to hear what she has to say. So she's kind of saved his bacon a couple of times, and so now he's like, sold, come work for me, be my engineer, kind of thing. And she's got trauma, so she's not, it's a whole thing, but she's learning to trust him, and he already trusts her, and it's very good, and it's just very, very enjoyable. So I love a competent female lead. I love a guy who has a competency kink about, you know, loves that she knows what she's doing. So I'm really enjoying that still. I'm going slowly, but I am enjoying it quite a bit. As I said, I'm in my anime era. I'm watching Solo Leveling with my son. That's like 3 episodes in. It's very gory to some extent, which we knew because we read the book already. We know what's coming. We're like, I was like, at one point, I'm like, wow, this dungeon hasn't actually been nearly as like gory as I remember it in the book. And then like a guy got decapitated and his body slid down the wall. It was
You're like, oh, there it is.
Wait, never mind. Never mind.
So it feels like it's going much quicker than the book did. Like, we were sort of all of a sudden, here we are on another dungeon. I was like, ooh, okay. I felt like that was probably about 20 chapters in the book, and we did it in 2 episodes. So that, that's good. Apparently, there's only going to be 12 episodes to this season, so we'll see how that goes. I was nervous about it because I had heard that, because I was curious, in the book, a main plot line is that basically Japan is going to use this whole dungeon, monster fighting system in order to take over Korea again. And so I was like, when you're making a Japanese anime, like, do you make yourself the bad guy? And apparently a lot of people in Japan, the translation in Japan has different names for all the characters. It's set in Japan instead of Korea, and the evil Japanese is just like this make-believe island off, the coast kind of thing. So people were like, oh, that's probably what we're getting. But they all have Korean names, and they're, so I don't know where we're going with it, but it's good. I'm enjoying it. I know the story. I know where, and so far it's telling me the story. My son's enjoying it, so that works well. I also started watching A Sign of Affection, which I read the first book in this series. And now I'm watching the series. 3 episodes are out on that one as well. It is a story about Yuki. She is deaf. She's in college. She's been not homeschooled, but she was in a small school for the deaf where there was like only 4 kids her age, like, so there was like 2 boys and 2 girls. So she had a best friend who was her best friend because
that was her option.
Yeah. So now she's at college and she gets to make friends, and she gets to, like, it's a little bit of a different experience for her. It's so much bigger. The world is so much bigger and brighter, and and she's not scared. She's just curious about everything and everyone in it. And you sort of start off with, she's on the train and this guy, a foreigner, starts asking her questions, and she's like, I don't know how to say. I can't hear him. I don't know what he's saying. And this tall, handsome, silver-haired boy walks over and, rescues her.
I love those silver-haired anime boys.
Those silver-haired, pink-haired, blue-haired. Yeah. Definitely not the main protagonist of an anime, boy.
Yeah, exactly. So there is a friend of hers from childhood. I think it's her school best friend's little brother, they're friends, and he learned sign language so that he could, because his sister's deaf and stuff. And he teases her a lot, but he talks to her, right? Because he can and stuff. And then you see him watching, and you're like, sweetie, you have brown hair, and the other boy is taller and has silver hair. I think we know where this is going.
Right.
I may be new, but I'm not that new.
Beautiful dream you're having here, but I got some news, friend.
So it's very cute. Silver-haired boy travels a lot. He is very into languages. He speaks like 4 languages fluently and a smattering of a couple more. And he loves to travel and experience new cultures and everything. And when he meets her, he sort of, something clicks in his brain, and he realizes that even though she's Japanese, she's speaking a different language than he is. Mm-hmm. And that her life is, even though she's been raised in Japan, her life is completely different than his. She has a different culture. And so he's like, I can explore culture and language at home. And he's fascinated by her, but she's also just super cute. Like, his cousin, like he works in a cafe bar with his cousin who's the owner, and Yuki's best friend is into like, so she's like, okay, we're gonna go in, but you cannot be too nice to the cousin. Like, you stick with your silver-haired boy because you are too cute for me to compete with. So like, just stay over there. So she's very, very sweet and just very sweet, and he's very nice, and it's just so soft and very pretty, and so I'm enjoying that as well. And
I've seen clips floating around, and it looks pretty darn cute.
It's very, the book has a lot of like author notes and stuff in it. So there's apparently 2 different kinds of Japanese sign language. I can't remember the names for the 2, but like one is essentially a word for word translation, and the other is more like idioms and sort of like phraseology and type things. So I think the one that's being used in the book and the series is the word for word one. And so each sort of chapter has a different name and stuff. So it's very well. I've read good things about that. They do the signs and stuff very well. So deaf people who are watching can like pick out the signs. So that's cool. That's it for me.
Okay. So I've been watching some stuff, not a lot of stuff. But in Completed Land, I finished the J-drama Silent, which is very nice to follow up from what Amanda just talked about. It's basically a boy and a girl who are a couple in high school, very sweet. He starts to find out he has some sort of disease, and he's losing his hearing. And he withdraws from everyone so that they don't know that he has lost his hearing. And it's like 10 years later, and they happen to see each other and kind of reconnect. And it's a really beautiful drama about just like connection and being deaf in this era, and like just like the different things that happen and the different relationships, and also there's like, it touches on a lot of different things, but it does touch on the like difference between someone who was hearing, became deaf, versus someone who was deaf and is still deaf. And like there's a lot of like intricacies and like different relationships, and that the drama explores, not just only because of that, but because of like the friendships and the love relationships and the romance and the family relationships and that sort of thing. It's a really great drama. I mean, everybody's saying its praises when it came out, and I'm here to say it's also really great. It was on Viki. I rewatched Happiness for our episode. Half of it I was drunk on wine, and it was fantastic drunk too. So, listen to that episode.
It's fantastic, perfect. Drunk or sober,
it is
really.
Perfect. It's a great drama. Yeah, I mean, we all know that we love the drama. I watched the J-drama She Loves to Cook, She Loves to Eat, which is so sweet. It's so good. I know that the second season was supposed to air this month, I think.
Yeah, I think it's coming out some point.
I haven't heard if it's come out or not. But that's kind of the reason why it pushed me to watch it. It's a little drama about a woman who likes to cook. I mean, literally, title-wise. But she likes to cook, and she's alone, and she's constantly getting pressured by her mom and stuff about relationships and stuff. And she finds one of her neighbors who is always kind of eating out a lot, and she's larger, and they form a friendship at first, where she's like, hey, I really like to cook, and I wanted to cook for people and not just post pictures of this. Will you please, I will make whatever you want, just please, I want to enjoy this with someone. And so they end up having this really beautiful friendship that turns into more, and there's a lot of talk about just finding yourself and finding your sexuality, and being I'm not gonna like let society think I'm weird from this, because I really enjoy like being with this person, and that's not a bad thing to like be in love with this person. So it's very sweet, it's like
so
short,
cute.
but it's just like it's a very sweet drama, and she makes a lot of good food, so like there's also that. And then finally in completed land, I finally completed Missing 9. If you want to know my thoughts about Missing 9, you're gonna have to become a Patreon, because Natalia and I spent a little time talking about the what the fuck that is the end of that show.
Yeah. That'll be up later.
I've already
this
talked
week.
about it. It's about a
on
plane
Patreon.
crash with people. Things happen. It's a thriller. Yeah, it's a show.
It happened when you watched it.
Part of like my list of things that I'm trying to get back into like watching, because I have a list of like all the dramas that I really wanted to watch that I kind of sidelined. One of them is the live action Yu Yu Hakusho. I am almost done with it. I started at the beginning of this week. It's very short, on Netflix. It has everyone in it, so it was like very fun to watch and like constantly like see actors that I liked. I mean, already the main lead is the kid that I got into like last year, and before that, maybe it was like last year, but beginning of last year, he was in On a Starry Night. He plays the main. But if you like shows like Cherry Magic or Kimi wa Petto, you will see people you like in this drama. I watched like a couple of episodes of the anime, but like that was high school Jessie. So like I don't remember
Back in the
anything.
day,
Yeah. So I don't know how well it's being perceived as if you were a fan of the general thing. Essentially, the kid, through a selfless act of saving a little child from death, dies, and the underworld is like, oh, what do we do with you, because you did a really good thing when you were to make yourself die. So I guess we'll just make you like a person who goes around and kills demons. So here you go, because the demons are starting to come back into the real world. The underworld has like started doing barriers, but like they're starting to come back into the real world, and kind of just goes and finds the demons and takes them out before they can take away like mostly kids, but they go after a bunch of different things. I guess kind of it's got an Uncanny Counter vibe, except Uncanny Counter came well after it, so it is it's like Uncanny Counter has Yu Hakusho's
Yu Hakusho
vibe. But I enjoy it. It's really short and short episodes. I am watching a J-drama that is currently airing. I think maybe tomorrow is the second episode. It's called The Gift of Your Heart. It is about a girl who like how do I describe this without like spoiling the premise of it? Essentially, it's like a fantasy thing where she comes to an ultimatum to save someone who is passed away. She has to give up her senses. So it's got that kind of vibe to it, and it's the person that she's starting to fall for. I also started the J-drama I Will Be Your Bloom, which I think Sky watched, right?
Yes.
On Netflix currently. It is just about a girl who is a teacher, and then she leaves teaching, and then she ends up becoming the house mom to an idol group that's like failing. Like they pretty much only have like 6 months before their contract is gonna take out. So she does like all the cooking and the cleaning and that sort of thing, and it's very much a like, we will get through this together, and I'm heartwarming. But it also, the big thing is that it stars the girl from Vampire Heaven, which had squarely led Jessie into, she is now just going to be focusing on J-dramas with the two leads from Vampire Heaven. That's just like how it works. We're already here now.
How it goes
and
sometimes. It's just how it goes.
Both of them have a lot of credits, so Next month might be just their stuff. I haven't finished my demon, but I'm still cranking that out. I haven't finished Tale of the Nine-Tailed 1938, but I have watched a couple of episodes since our Idong Wook episode. And the last thing is a drama that I'm not continuing it. I only made it 20 minutes in, but I have to tell you that I did watch the Graphic Design is My Passion and Wolves Are My Subject J-drama Mars. I don't like it. It's terrible.
Fair enough.
So,
fair enough. Say less. Say less.
I mean, like, I think, like, young kids probably will like it. It's essentially about a boy who's, like, very charismatic, and he comes to the school and wants to, like, lead the kids to revolution, essentially, of, like, all the teachers. I mean, it 20 minutes in, and I was like, okay.
And we're done.
And
Now, I will say, in a world where you didn't have access to near as many J-dramas as you now have, would you have continued?
No.
You still would have?
No.
Okay.
oh no,
Yeah, it's really campy, and it's got the level, like, I know that it's not for me, is like the big thing.
Yeah.
It's not for anybody who's close to my age type thing. Like, it's got the level of, like, campiness and cheesiness as you would have, like, a Power Ranger. Like, so, like, things that you were supposed to watch when you're, like, adolescents, even though it's, like, stars high school kids and there's, like, a little bit of, like, fighting going on. I mean, like, it's just the way it is. But it does start out with someone running in a wolf mascot, like, outfit. So it does lean into
have a wolf
the
in there
wolf,
somewhere,
and, like, it does talk about the wolves, but it's not as cool as the posters that, like, do the Animorphs wolf thing.
Cool in air quotes. Those are some cool.
Well,
Some
they
sick
still make it, like,
posters,
into a
bro.
fantasy, and it's not a fantasy at all. It's kind of just like a,
fair enough.
you know, kid, you know, going about and being like, we will take down the powers of the adult world, and I'm very bubbly, and I'm, like, cool, and I always have my phone out because I'm always live streaming and all, you know, like, what's the like male equivalent of, like, the Manic Pixie Dream Girl, but, like, in male, like, you know, that, like, he's just like, he jumped off the building so he could land in the garbage truck that, like, is below. He's the rebel, but he's, like, cool, and, you know, like, I'm just too old. This is Jessie's too old for this. I know it. I'm glad that Vicky picked it up for you youngins. You have fun with this. The kid is, like, fairly known.
My thing.
He was in that what's the title of the show?
My love mix up.
The J-drama, the Kindachi series, where he's, like, a little detective, like a Murder, She Wrote vibe to it. That's on Hulu right now and probably Disney Plus. So if you know him, he's, like, in a bunch of stuff. He's, like, for that, like, age level, I think, like, everybody loves him. I mean, he's doing well in his role. It's just, you know, I'm just too old, and that's fine. It is fine to be that way, but I had to check it out as soon as I saw that new and coming.
Those posters,
like, it just showed it. It was like Mars upcoming, and I was like,
oh my gosh,
I have to at least attempt this, because we talked so much about the posters during what we're
the live stream.
Like,
we were
at the beginning of the month.
so hard about those posters.
Oh my gosh, I was like, it's just like fate. How does it happen that, like, Vicky actually picks up that, you know, for us to watch?
Maybe they listen to us.
Can you listen to us for other things? Like the Pudding Girl, like, show.
Yeah. Get us the yogurt show. Get us the yogurt show.
Yeah, Vicky, come on.
We want the yogurt show.
But I think that's it. I watched a lot of things that I, like, pieced out of too, but Mars was the one that I just had to talk about because of wolves. You know, put a wolf on it.
So the first thing on my list, there's a little bit of a story as to why I started watching it. I was on Reddit, and I saw a post. I'm not gonna call out who made the post or what subreddit it's on. If anyone cares, you can probably find it. Where someone had posted a picture of the poster of this show, and then was lamenting how they don't like this new thing that they coined a height gap, where the male leads are significantly taller than like the female leads, and they were making it sound they were making it sound like this was like some inappropriate like age gap thing. And I was reading this post and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? So I was like, well, now I have to go watch it. And I'm so glad I did. So I started watching the C-drama Golden House Hidden Love on iQIYI. Which is about this wedding dress designer. Like, she's like a jewelry designer who works for like a wedding dress design company or something. And she she just bought this house because the house was kind of cheap. And there's this whole backstory about like she's on a terrible date that she was set up with this dude who's just like telling her she's going nowhere in life and she's renting and she's a loser. So she's like, well, fuck you. And she buys this house. Turns out there's like this dude living in the house that's like a mystical 1,000-year-old being who can walk through walls, but also like does house repair and design in his spare time. I don't know.
All right.
But what sold me on the show was this one scene in the first episode, whereupon she's like running away, like, no, get out of my house. And she's running away from him. And then for some reason, a meteor is coming towards Earth and is gonna like kill her. And he flies up in the air and like uses his mystical powers to like stop the meteor. And then the meteor explodes and it blows his shirt clean off. just split in half, shirt blown clean off. And then he falls dramatically to the ground. And then he's lying in the garden, like covered in dirt. And she just takes a coat and like lays it over him. And I was like, say less. So there's like 6 episodes out as of when we're recording this, and it's like on iQIYI, if you're like a VIP, it's like 6 episodes every Friday, and for everyone else it's like 2 episodes every Friday. I don't know what they're doing over there. I'm also watching Marry My Husband, obviously we talked about it. I watched the 6-episode J-drama One Room Angel, which was very odd. It's on Gaga Ulala. And it's about this guy who's like kind of, everyone assumes he's a bad guy because he kind of looks like a bad guy. He's actually played by the rival of the main dude from Yu Yu Hashiko. So like he has sort of a bad dude look to him. And he's like working like this dead end job at a convenience store. And these 2 guys come in and are like being assholes. And he's just like, whatever, dude. Like, and he's like very clearly severely depressed. And he goes outside, and then these 2 guys attack him, and he beats the shit out of them, but then one of them stabs him. And he's like lying there dying, and then he sees a vision of an angel descending to Earth towards him. I'm not gonna say who this angel is because that gives up a big plot later on, but then when he gets out of the hospital, because he lives, bitch, he goes home to his like really shitty 1-room moldering apartment, and the angel's just sitting there like, hey, I live here now, and your emotions affect me on a visceral level, so you gotta stop being depressed. And it's kind of a sad but cute show. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's only 6 episodes. Gagula, pretty easy. I'm still watching Last Twilight. Last episode airs tomorrow of this recording. Ooh,
I have to get caught up.
We had the episode 11 dark turn, so we're it's good. Still watching Pip Babe. Oh, big wild episode last week.
Were there suppressant failures? Is that
no, there was no suppressant failure, but there was some dramatic dark turnerage. It's as ridiculous as it was the entire time I've been watching it, and it continues. Pavel's just like, jaw lining across the screen as best he can. Like it's fun. It's a fun, stupid show. Lots of car chases. Middle-aged evil dude. Good times. I just started one called Intern in My Heart, which is on WeTV. which is about an evil designer boss, sort of like, evil lady designer who's really mean. But then this new intern's here, but the intern has a magical power after an accident when he was a kid, where when he touches people, it hurts him, but he can also like see parts of their past. But when he touches her, it doesn't hurt. And so, obviously, I'm not that far in, but I'm assuming, obviously, some romance will be coming from that. And finally, I am definitely legally watching Cherry Magic Thailand. Absolutely.
Yeah.
On that. That's, nothing to say there. Very fun. I actually quite like it, as it's a different vibe, because it's made so it's not like a shot-for-shot remake. Mm-hmm. Like, it actually has, like, they've put different vibes to it to make it more, like, sort of a Thai show vibe. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. And then finally, I'm also watching Cooking Crush on YouTube. It is silly and cute, and if you like Afghan, pairing the actors off and gun, and you think they're cute together, and you like seeing them smooch and be cute and flirt, well, that's most of this show. Which is about a guy in culinary school who is forcibly befriended by a guy in med school who wants him to teach him to cook. And adorableness continues from that. But yeah, it's basically, well, it's not it, but like that's it. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so that was it. So thank you for listening to us. We hope that you come back and listen to us next week. We got another sick episode coming out, I'm sure. Anyway, we hope you had a good time listening to us. You can find us wherever podcasts can be found, and also in video on YouTube and Technicolor. And you can also go to our website, certifiednoonas.com, to find all of the links and time codes and everything for what we're talking about. And if you would like to support this podcast, you can go to patreon.com/certifiednoonas to join the fan family. You get extra little mini episodes.
Like Missing 9!
Like Missing 9 mini episode! And you get, it's good times. It's good times. We love our fan family. They're great. And yeah, that's about it. So we hope you have a great week. And as always, remember, wash your hands, wear a mask, and keep enjoying Asian entertainment. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.